Hi. I'm going to preface this by saying that I think making these videos is so difficult. I feel like every time I try to come up with a script, I'm trying to capture lightning in a bottle, and I can never sort of pick the right moment to make a video. And I wait for a little too long, I lose the spark, I lose the idea. But here I'm going to attack it directly. So today, I'm going to be talking about why do so few people dress with personal style and why that is super, super lonely, and why I think that's the reason as to why so few people dress with personal style. I want to preface this also by saying that I'm definitely not there yet. I do not have a very distinct personal style, unfortunately. Been in the fashion game, let's say, for around 5-6 months. I am a itty bitty sapling. I do not have a lot of the knowledge that people who've been in this game for a while have. And so as a result, I have a lot of pretty rudimentary ideas of personal style. But this issue's been coming up repeatedly for me, so I'm decided to talk about it here. I think also, to preface this, personal style, for me at least, is not just delving into a niche, like let's say like tech wear or gorpcore or some sort of core, right? I think, or even like a subgenre or brand within that core. I really think that personal style can only come with truly just being super open, which is like an almost impossible standard, right? But truly being super open and trying to really figure out what it is exactly that evokes the most pleasure in fashion. And I think that's so difficult for me, especially because I get bored of things really easily. All this like capsule wardrobe bullshit that's, I guess, fed to you when you're starting out is, in my opinion, a little nonsense. I think there's a lot of value to owning a diversity of clothes and weirder clothes. I think in general clothes should be weirder. Think Bliss Foster, the YouTuber I watch, said that, and I think he's dead on. I think people should wear weirder clothes. And so that makes it impossible to have a capsule wardrobe, I feel. So really don't like the idea of capsule wardrobe. But moving back to the idea of personal style, I think for me, right, I often like commenting or trying to help people improve their personal style by telling them, oh, maybe you should think a little bit more when you're assembling a fit in this way. Or maybe you shouldn't just go for brand name or status. Maybe you should try to figure out whether you actually truly like a piece. How do you feel about the cut? How do you feel about the color? And I realized not very many people really give a shit. And I was like, why is that? It's so, for me, it's so fascinating chasing this idea of personal style, even though it's like semi-unattainable. And that led me to the realization that it's a very lonely sort of concept. You're trying to explore exactly who you are. And when you're trying to explore who you are, it's really, really fucking difficult to listen to other people because they put seeds of doubt in your mind. You're trying to run with exactly what you think just looks the coolest, you feel the best in. But guess what happens? When you don't feel good in something, that is usually because you like something at first, and then somebody tells you something, or somebody sets some expectation for you, and it just feels worse than that, or they make you feel bad about what you're buying. And in that sense, this form of art, it has to be exactly an individual activity. It can't be that you ask people, because the moment you ask people for advice, oh, does this look good? Good is so subjective, because going back to the idea of commenting on other people or trying to help them, even if I'm telling them these things? What if those logos, those brand names and stuff, what if they really like how they look or the aesthetic of them? What if I just don't get the way in which they view fashion? Because fashion is so broad. And that's what makes it so difficult. And that's why I've sort of stopped commenting on what people wear. If I like something, I'll say it's nice. But I've stopped trying to critique or help people because it feels rather unproductive. If I am to believe in personal style, I should just let people be. And if they're not into personal style, why am I asking them anyways? But then that leads me to myself. I always wanted fashion to be something that is very communicative and very people to people. But unfortunately, I don't think it is that for me. And I'm rather bummed out by it. I really started this journey by looking at a bunch of random t-shirts with weird designs on them, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if I got a t-shirt like this. Boy, did I not know that there was so much depth. Design is only one very, very, very small aspect to what makes the entire greater situation that is fashion. And I think that when you try doing something that is unique, truly unique to you, not just to be different, but to be you, I think you end up losing connection with other people. That connection that I first saw from just looking at weird designs on t-shirts with my friends, that is very different from what chasing personal style is, at least in my opinion. I think chasing personal style is a lot more lonely. You can't really take other people's advice, nor can you really give people advice. Because what happens is when you have a very distinct personal style is you get really picky because there is a lot of stuff and you just hate most things. And people don't like that because everybody dresses different. If they do have a personal style, they have a very specific lane they're going down. That may not be your lane, and you might think it looks bad. There are also most people who just don't give a fuck. Even if they're into fashion, they don't care about personal style. They either care about following trends or they like a specific brand or something like that. And so I think personal style, for that reason, is very, very, very rare. I think the way in which personal style then grows is a really difficult process of copying. And it's a little bit difficult, right? Because what's the red line between speaking to other people and just looking at stuff yourself? Well, I think when you look at stuff yourself, you're able to interpret it and process it by yourself. It's like the difference between writing something and typing something. When you type, you're just sort of copying just to copy. Whereas when you're writing down somebody like notes, you're really internalizing that information. You're thinking about, oh, how should I present this? Whereas when you're typing, you can type faster. I don't know if that analogy made sense, but I think that when you go through the process of thinking through things, it makes things a lot better, in my personal opinion. And so sometimes, at least for me as an extrovert person and somebody who got into fashion because I really wanted to talk to people about it, you trick yourself into thinking that, oh, I can interact with people about this. I can ask people. I can get a little bit of external validation. I get a couple compliments. It feels nice. And in the moment it does, especially when you get the compliment, right? It feels amazing. But then as you look into it deeper, as you take more time, it just feels worse because people really don't want to hear your opinion because you're so picky, because you're not trend hopping, because you are so yourself, right? You are not following anything that anybody else is doing. And in that way, you're alienating yourself and making it impossible to interact with others on the topic of fashion. It's just impossible. And so originally I thought that giving advice would mean thinking about the amount of care that somebody puts into their outfit. And I really wanted to give people advice because I want to get more people in. But its level of care is so difficult to discern because different people are into different things. Things that you see, you think, wow, it's just jeans and a sweatshirt. What could they have done? A lot of people put a lot of thought into that, into getting the right jeans, right cut of jeans. I hate jeans, by the way, but the right cut of jeans, the right texture of the jeans, all that stuff. Well, being a jean hater, I just don't get because I don't like it. So I feel like because personal style makes you so lonely, you're also unable to give advice. Which brings you to the question of, do I still want to pursue personal style? I think I do. I think there's something very, very freeing about walking into a room and just being the main event, the thing that everybody's looking at and doesn't really know how to process, the person with multiple layers. I think it's really great to be in that position. And so for that reason, I really believe that personal style is still valuable. I just think it's really, really lonely, which can be hard for a lot of people, especially me, who throughout most of his life has had hobbies that are mostly people building hobbies, friend making hobbies, if you will. And so yeah, that's my reflection on this. And I think that this is probably true for art in general, especially if you're trying to create something truly unique, truly imaginative, truly yourself. Because it really just needs to be an untainted representation of yourself. Thanks for watching my rant.